Hi guys, welcome back to another Call of Duty unboxing and review video. So up today we have the new Call of Duty Mega Construx Beach Invasion set. So the set includes 386 pieces. This is new for 2018. This was purchased off of Amazon, so I actually pre-ordered this sucker back in June, and it was actually just delivered to me this week. So I know there's still listings for it right now. I think it got pushed back to another pre-order date with a shipping time in like later mid-November. So the sets are rolling out, but I think there's, obviously an issue with distribution like anything else with Mega Construx. So what's really cool about this set, guys, is if this looks familiar to you guys, this is kind of a reimagining of a 2014 set they did, or Mega Bloks did back in the day, which was a landing craft similar to this one, very iconic Higgins boat. But that set that released back in 2014 included a nice little bunker set, another figure, and there was different mechanics to the Higgins boat. So let's take a look at the Higgins boat. So on the side, it's really nice paneling. We have that nice LCVP, which is landing craft. I don't know what the VP portion stands for, but it's really nice side paneling on both of the exteriors of the boat. On the bottom, which is pretty cool, they actually did a nice little building up of the rudder and the motor, and that portion that actually goes underground or underwater. The inside of this is just, I think it's like two of the 8x10 panels. There's two of them that sit side by side, so you have a nice little troop transport carrier portion right here. You have the driver portion, the winch mechanism area, and then you have two gunner seats in the back. So what's different about this from the previous one is that the older one had two drawstrings that came across on the outside that would lower the gate down. So there was still some playability factor to it. In this one, so that there is, if I can show it to you guys really quick, there's a winch system in here, right? So this winch system actually brings down the door for the troops to come out. So when you crank this, it goes all the way down. So your troops can come out, and then if it, once it goes off the beach, you can crank it back up. It's slow, mind you, but it works, and it's a little more clean than the original one. So there was, on the back side of the original, there was this huge drawstring that came down. It just kind of took away from the authenticity behind it, and it looked kind of silly in my opinion. I think they did a really good job actually kind of including the winch system in here. They so it's pegged into the right side of the hull here. So the string's out of the way, and it's not very cumbersome. You still have a large area that you can place your troops in, and it's pretty concealed in my opinion. I think that's one of the benefits about this version of the Higgins boat that they did with that winch system in here. One thing that I do not like about this set that was a little better kind of taken care of in the original one is there's that pretty good gap right here. And again, it's not like a huge deal, but it bugs it bugs me. So again, with that OCD side, so the door doesn't shut all the way. The other thing that just kind of away from authenticity wise is the panel right here is made for the troops on the inside to be able to see when the beach is going to hit, so be able to have the gate lower down or the door lower down. Typically this should have probably only been like 2 pegs wide, because it was made for one soldier to look out, so it wouldn't be taking enemy gunfire ripping through the entire hull. Besides that, it's not little things like that, but it's a huge improvement from the 2014 Higgins boat. If you guys want to take a look on that on Google, you can search it on Google or on Amazon. I think there's still listings for it. That set now, it retailed for about 50 bucks. It's now going for upwards of $100, which is kind of the way it goes with a lot of the older Call of Duty Mega Bloks sets. I think they did a really good job also, just to mention the gunner's hatches right here. It's pretty flush, doesn't stick out a lot. And the turrets themselves, they're just 1x2s that are flush with a kind of a slanted piece right there for the rear sights. But They sit in here really nice. They look really good as well. They look a lot better than the original Higgins boat. The side paneling and just kind of the build up for it as well. It's a lot cleaner. It's better construction, I guess would be the best way to put it. So it's nice to see that Mega is doing and moving in the right direction for their construction and their authenticity for sets. It was a pretty quick build. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. Took me probably about 30 minutes. What was one thing that's actually important to note, I think, is this was the first set that Mega Construx has where they actually numbered their bags, similar to what Lego does, right? So when you have multiple bags, you're not opening every single one of them. You know exactly which figure or which bag you need to open for that particular set. So that really sped up the process for getting the construction set taken care of. So the next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the figures. So there are 4 figures that come with this set. These are all figures that we have seen before. I will take individually look at each one of them. So the accessories are everything that's on the figures. There was no additional accessories. This is actually kind of one of those interesting points for me, is that this is with having Mega do another, their big 2018 sets coming out so far. It's pretty bare when it comes to accessories, and that was one of the things that I liked most about these sets, is that there was so many accessories, so many additional weapons that came in. There was a lot of customization to it. Now I know with the Legends line, which is what the World War II line, they've marketed it as, a lot of the weapons have been pre-molded. Like the Thompson, the M1 Grand, the Sten machine gun, the sniper rifle. So you don't really have the customization for the firearms, but they still included a lot of accessories, and I thought that was really neat, and that's not something I saw in this set, so that was definitely kind of a bummer. Like I said, everything that's on the figures is everything that comes with it. So the first one we're going to take a look at is, I'm assuming this is going to be their squad leader for the set. This is, he just came attached to sidearm. He has that newer style mesh green helmet that is detachable. He's got like a brown upper torso, green fatigues with black boots. The pistol is all just one color. It's just that gray, that kind of gunmetal gray look. Didn't come with any additional accessories. Didn't come with grenades, extra pouches, anything like that. So pretty bare for that guy. Next guy up is another, one of the newer style mesh green helmets that's detachable. He comes with the newer style load-bearing equipment with a grenade. He's got the, their version of the sniper rifle, their bolt-action sniper rifle, and I'm still trying to figure out what it actually is. And the scope's backwards as well. But he's got tan lower fatigue pants with black boots, which is our second guy. Our third guy, which is a little bit different than the rest of them. He comes with green fatigues, both upper torso, lower torso with brown boots and brown gloves. One thing that's neat about this guy is that he comes with a new helmet mold. So it's similar to the green mesh mold. It's in a almost like a coyote brown color, but the helmet is molded as if it actually has like a rain cover over it. So there's kind of a little bit of little bits of wrinkles throughout the entire thing, so it makes it look like it's a cap over the helmet to keep the rain and the water out. So I think that's pretty neat. It's a new piece that we haven't seen before, so Mega's still bringing out those new pieces, which is really nice. So that was one thing that was actually really nice to see in this set, so it wasn't like you're getting everything just repackaged over again. The last guy that we have right here comes with an M1 Grand with that bayonet, similar to the last guy that we saw. He's got green fatigues, black boots, his hands are exposed, and that green style mesh helmet. So he came with one pouch, but everything else on the figure is pretty bare. So one thing I wanted to talk about with the figures themselves in this set is that I've noticed, I've been collecting Mega since the Halo lines back in 2010, and Mega's gone through a huge deal with quality control, quality of figures. In 2013 when the Call of Duty set started coming out, the new articulation line for the figures, they were really, just amazing. There was like something that wasn't seen in in the size, and it, you know, Mega did a great job of kind of taking the 1/28 scale for a ride. I would say within the last year or so, I've noticed, you know, I don't know if it's just because Mattel acquired Mega, and it's Mattel's decision on whether or not the product line needs to have kind of lower quality, but the plastics that were used for the figures, so kind of one thing I wanted to talk about with this guy, right? So when I got this guy out of package, and I'm not going to move his head because the, you know, the ball peg portion right here was too big for the head right off the bat. So I was able to get him on, but then moving his head around, there's stress marks throughout the ball joint under by the neck. So pretty much if you move the head, the neck, you know, the plastic attaching to the ball joint for the neck piece is going to break. The other thing I noticed also that with this guy's arm, moving it back and forth is extremely loose. I had to really shove it in there to get it to stick. And not just that, but the overall quality for these figures, it feels like a cheaper, more, I would say almost like a rubberish type of plastic that's used for these figures, as opposed to what I've seen, you know, in previous sets, like, you know, the older 2013, 2014 line figures, which was, you know, just better quality plastics for the figures. I've talked about this in previous videos before, but I just thought it was important to note that with this set, you know, although it's got some new pieces, the quality of the figures is not great. With this guy, he was a little bit difficult to get his, no, I'm sorry, it's this guy. This guy, it was a little bit difficult to get his legs in place. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's excess plastic that was molded up onto that T-peg portion where his legs ball joint together and attached to the torso. So his legs are kind of in a one position thing. If you rotate the legs, the ball joint kicks off because there's that extra excess amount of plastic. So little things like that for the figures that have just kind of been a little bit difficult, you know, for finally getting a, you know, construction set this year from Mega, and the figure quality is just super poor. You know, when talking about recommending this, like I said, I've collected Mega for almost 10 years now. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big diehard collector of these guys. I love them. I love the line. I love the company. So it wasn't really a decision for me. I was going to buy it anyways. What I would suggest though is if you're looking for a landing craft, if you're looking for, you know, continuing your World War II collection, if you've just gotten into that, or if you're just a big Call of Duty fan and you've seen these kind of like poking around, I would probably get a different set. And I'm not saying that as the, you know, the construction for the Higgins boat is bad, because it's phenomenal, but just kind of put into comparison. So the initial one that came out in 2014 that had an additional figure, it had an additional pillbox with a lot more accessories. The Higgins boat was a little bit bigger as well. That went for $50. So without having a pillbox, without having you know, an additional figure, we're paying $40 for an updated version of a set that's already been released. And that's kind of hard to swallow for some people. You know, there are improvements for this set. You know, Mega has gotten better at their building techniques. So in that sense, it's nice to have the piece, but I would keep that in mind when thinking about getting sets. You know, I always kind of suggest that if you're just getting into the line, or if you are a big collector and, you know, you like to have duplicates, or if you're a big customizer, go for the older sets. The figure quality is a lot better. I guess one thing I would say though is that for the brick quality, this has been, you know, up to par, you know, since about, you know, 2015 was kind of, you know, where it really stopped having malfunctions or, you know, errors with their brick pieces. So there were no issues that I found with any of the brick components for the build for the Higgins boat. It's just all the figure issues that I would that I noticed for this set in this in this kind of situation. So, you know, again, going back to it, if you're a diehard fan, obviously, you know, I would recommend it. It's a cool piece. The Higgins boat is great. If you are not a huge collector, or if you're not really big on the World War II line, I would pass on this. There's a few other sets that are coming out later this year that are probably going to be a lot better in my opinion, and they do have listings for those on Amazon. Those include like the new fighter, jet that they're going to do out of the World War II line. They're doing a World War II Axis figure pack and a few other things like that. So there are things to look forward to. If you're looking at trying to decide what you're going to get, you might want to take a pass on this just because the quality of the figures isn't really there in my opinion, and I kind of have a hard time swallowing a $40 price point for a set that's already been released, and really the only correction that we've seen is the winch system. Besides that, guys, I don't have a whole lot else to say. It's it's a cool set. I'm a little disappointed in the figures, but hopefully that is just my package. Hopefully if you guys do get this, you guys don't have any issues with your figures. And if that's the case, leave me a comment. I might have just gotten unlucky. But I don't have a whole lot else to say about the video, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping by and taking a look at the review. If you liked the video, please leave a like, please leave a comment. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It always helps me with getting videos out as well, and let me know what you guys want to see. Besides that, guys, though, I appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. Have a great day. Bye.